It's the first Thursday of another month. I can't believe we're at March already. Yeah, here we are, and we continue to provide this quality CPD every month for you, and part of that value, added value of being a QSI member. Today, we're delighted to welcome and invite Alan Windley, who works for Nomitech Limited, absolute partner of QSI and the University of Wolverhampton, which is fantastic. They're doing some fantastic work, which you'll hear about in a moment. And as you can see, Alan is a member of Quant Surveys International. And for those on the call, if you're not already a member, why not? Really want to make sure we're pushing that forward this year. And hopefully you're seeing the real benefit and keeping yourself up to date with what's going on in CPD world and part of your lifelong learning. So Alan will be talking about the changing role of cost estimation due to BIM drive and digitalisation, and it's from an industry perspective. So Alan, thank you for being here today, and we look forward to hearing your presentation. Thank you.
No, thank you, and thank you everybody for joining. So we'll try and get on with this. So a little bit of history is, in order to understand how roles are changing, we just need to look at the current roles of the professional team. And this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek to begin with, a few definitions, shall we say. So, yeah, an architect's estimate, of course, it's the cost of construction in heaven. The estimator's estimate, a wild guess carried out to 2 decimal places. And there is a reason behind that, because going back when I first got involved with cost estimating solutions, I was talking to a structural steel company, and they said, how many decimal places can your system work to? And I said at the time, well, 2. They said, well, I think we might need 3 decimal places. I said, okay. So how much do you pay your structural engineers? He said, oh, between 15 and 20 pounds an hour. So it was wanted 3 decimal places on one thing, but I hadn't got a clue on the rest. Of course, the winning big poker game with the losing hand wins. And apologies for just reading this, but and the winning tender, a contractor was wondering what he left out. And there is some reason behind all this. And obviously the subcontractors never really get a chance in anything. And then the project management completion date, obviously when the liquidated damages begin. And liquidated damages are a penalty for failing to achieve the impossible, because it never started right in the first place. And the QS, person who goes in after the war, is lost, and the bayonets, the wounded. So why does this happen? Because, per usual, not enough effort is put up in the front of the potential issues. And hopefully BIM is changing that, where they can visualize some of the things that might happen. But it does mean that roles are changing. And I've noticed over the years that someone who was called an estimator is suddenly becoming a cost manager or some other titles. But I've underlined collaboration, because I think this is where a lot of it happens. But yeah, let's go back in time, a long time. My background, by the way, I was a QS before I got involved with cost estimating solutions, and used to have the takers off, the cut and shufflers, the workers up, but none of it sort of regarded the building sequence at the time. And then here we go, all of a sudden computers started arriving with B&Q productions and estimating solutions, obviously. I actually worked for probably one of the pioneers of estimating solutions way back in the early 90s. And then of course we've got all the computer aided designs, the 2D, the 3D, 4D sequencing, 5D, obviously, and planning softwares and everything else. And again, this is where the collaboration comes in. So have all these things changed the way we work? Has it improved the processes? Well, really at times it's just automated some of the old flawed processes because people were still not collaborating. And I've put a couple of questions here that I've been asked many times, you know, how do I create a bill and pages with BIM? Which they're really saying, how do I do exactly what I'm doing now, but using BIM? So we'll look at the old processes. We start off with a very early design concept. And so a cost plan's produced. Oops, that's too much money, so we'll spend some more money on redesigning it and another cost plan, and eventually have to go round in circles to think, okay, that looks nearer. So they produce a detailed bill and a tender goes out, and then the project plan, and then they start, and then we get back to where we were before. Oops, straight away, within 2 minutes, this claim has been made and changes. So it's a circle of disaster, really. And again, that's why I put this. Blame is the name of the game, as they say. So obviously we're talking about estimators. Well, so I put the estimator in the middle, but they need to be also talking to all the other people involved. You know, the QSs, the subbies, even the legal teams and the planners. And again, going back in time, and actually it's not going back that far, which I'll explain in a minute. You would walk into various offices and you'll see you know, the chalkboards or the whiteboards with all this sort of scribble, shall we say. And then again, all the post-it notes would be up there. Whoever invented post-it notes must be multimillionaires. But even in the last 6 months, I've still seen this happening. So it is a slow process. And again, concept sketches and design processes. So we start getting into BIM and digitalisation. And as I mentioned earlier, it will start redefining roles for the industry professionals. Obviously, BIM, there's still people call it building information modeling. Some call it building information management. And then automation is obviously becoming a bigger theme. But it should be a combination of new technologies. And AI, of course, which I'm sure is the new oil. Collaboration. Again, I'm going to keep stressing collaboration. And yes, AI, we can blame it on somebody else. And then even more so with the new technologies, what GPT can give estimates I need a budget, oops, $1 billion. That doesn't sound good. Right then, give me another, tell me when to stop. And this is what happens. So again, we return to the collaborative working side of things. All these teams need to work together. But as I often say to people, nothing starts unless you've got an accurate estimate in the first place. The QS can't manage it if the estimate's not pretty accurate. So then BIM came along, and again, I know these might sound a little bit strange terms, but they are things that I have heard over the years. And I like one, the architect doesn't put all the information in. They never do. They never have, and never will. It's still down to the estimators and the QSs to fill in the gaps. You know, that's their profession. And yep, I've mentioned that again. How can I price a model if the architect doesn't put all the information in? The key now is with solutions, estimating solutions. You can actually add extra things in to the model, linked to pricing. As an example, an architect would never put a well, often not put floor tiles. He's got the floor, but not the floor tiles or the finishings, but it's still part of the estimate. And one big note here is we work a lot in the oil and gas sector. They were using 3D models before it was even mentioned in construction. But as I mentioned before, it's down to the estimators and the QSs to use the skills to fill in the gaps. And yes, it's mandatory. 2016, the government said, yep, every project, I think it was over a certain value, had to be done in 3D. We're 10 years later, and we're still only up to 73% of those mandated government requirements. So, a little bit of progress then. If you imagine right from the start of a project, there's not that much detail, but the sorts of things that have been developed are parametric cost assemblies. These are basically like a questionnaire, the sort of questions you would ask yourself anyway. If you say just took a house, how many stories? Are the windows PVC? Are they wood? Are they this? Are they that? And based on that, it dives into your cost data to pull that information out. So again, early concept. Sorry, I've got a dodgy mouse. So this is a parametric assembly. So this is a transmission tower. So it's not just for construction. So it's saying